Okay, trying a different setup. Hopefully it's a little bit better audio and video quality. Just gonna use my phone. Um, week, God knows what week we're on. It's been 5 months now of since I left my corporate job. It's been a dream, you know, um, a crazy one in the sense that it's not all fun and games, but I mean mostly it's pretty rad. It is if there's a part of you that has been like, oh man, I just would really love to take a break. I think that'd be so great. It is. It is. This is some of the best times of my entire life. Not because it's packed to the gills with tons of really intense, amazing, crazy experiences, but it's actually because I have time to slow down. You know, I think one of the biggest inflection points is I had this realization fairly early on. Actually, no, it was a couple months in. I was talking to a person who was curious to get to know better, and they had asked me about like schedule wise, and I realized like I got time. It was my first realization that this thing that is many people say it's a cliche that time is the most valuable resource that we have. It's the only one that is finite for everybody. Everybody has only a certain amount of time on this planet, and there's really very little you can do to manipulate that, right? You can't accrue and stockpile time. You got what you got. But I think for the last decade, at least since I was an adult, time has been something that was always scarce. I never had enough time to do everything I wanted to do. And this was the first time that when I thought of it, I was like, oh, I have plenty of time. Now, this is such a radical change in my worldview, and it's actually, I'm still processing it. It's still crazy. And something that I'll say that's really come up is that, you know what? We are this phrase from 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkeman. We are finite beings with infinite tasks. I think I said in my last updates, when I left my job, I brought that same intensity and manic productivity into my personal life, and I just started doing tons of these things that had been building up for so long, and it was great. It was so good. Got so much done. But I was still operating in this mindset of rushing, of trying to do everything. And I learned a lot in the last few months, especially about perfectionism. I think that book really helped me realize how powerful and pervasive perfectionism was for me. And then this concept, if you wanted to look at a single behavior or symptom that I think is not just perfectionism, I think it's also driven by our entire work culture. And I think it's a thing that if I change this one habit, this one mindset, it's going to unlock, and it is unlocking everything else. And it's to stop rushing. There's an infinite amount of tasks. There is more than you'll ever going to get done. But I think the simple counterintuitive truth is that you got all these things you want to get done. You feel that pressure internally, or that desire even to get everything done. And I think for a time, at least in my 20s, it felt so good knocking everything out. But, the more you rush, in the long term, the more time you lose. Multitasking, doing a bunch of things, but not as well as you can. That really takes a toll. And you make more mistakes, and those mistakes can actually cost you a lot of time. And even more importantly, like, these are all very tactical. They kind of still fit in the shell of like, hey, productivity. You'll be more productive if you slow down. And I think that's true. But more importantly than that is your experience, the experience of fucking life. Like I said, we are all here for a short amount of time. And as much as I do still think, work hard, opportunities comes to those, I'm an energetic person. There's a lot I want to do in my life. But it's okay if you're not like that. But if you are like that, regardless, I'm losing the point here. Slow the fuck down. Slow the fuck down, because you will experience it. You will be present and enjoy it and do a better job. No, not even a better job. It's just that it's more enjoyable. Like, what's the fucking point? You have this list of things in your mind that you want to do. You are choosing these things because they are important to you, or you desire them, or you feel a duty or obligation to do them, or for whatever reason, right? But the telos for all of us is that we die. And you want everyone, I think, wants to look back on their life and feel like they lived a good life and feel good about that. And if you're rushing through everything, the more you squeeze in, the less you're experiencing it. You're not living it, man. And that's, I mean, I'm saying it to you, I'm saying it to me, but that's been my experience deeply. There is so much that I flew through. And I think the rushing not only decreased the quality of what I did, but I also think it actually cost me a lot of time. Ultimately led to me being really burnt out and then really like disconnected. But it's like, what's the fucking point if I wasn't enjoying it, right? And by slowing down, you give yourself the chance to think of not only like what is the important thing you should be spending your time on. If you're only going to get one of those 10 things done today, what's the one that's most important, that you are authentically and intentionally choosing? But that thing is going to take as long as it takes for you to do it well, for you to do it with excellence, you know, in a way that feels good. And do it in a way that you enjoy, because these are the things that we're choosing to fucking do while we're alive. You know, it might not be fun to wash the dishes. This is very like Thich Nhat Hanh, fuck, I forget, I'm screwing up his name right now. You know who I'm talking about. But like all of these things, we get lost in the moment of like, oh man, this thing is getting in the way of something else I want to be doing instead. Man, every little thing is important and every little thing deserves your attention. And it's not just for that little thing, it's not for somebody else, it's because you will live your life and enjoy your life more if you slow the fuck down and pay attention to the thing you're doing, even if it's something as simple as cleaning your fucking room, you know? I'm rambling, you know, I can probably just sit here and talk into this video screen for a long time. I think this is one point that I'm just trying to hammer home that into myself and into my psyche. If there's, you know, I've set some goals for this time. There's a web application that I want to create, and I'm creating and working on it. It's going well. It's just slow. It's one of the things that takes time, but I'm learning a lot, and I'm moving forward with it. I have like a first big client thing. I'm making a Shopify store for a client. I'm really enjoying doing that. And I'm really investing in just like building my lifestyle, one that incorporates exercise. I'm really trying to figure out my exercise routine for longevity, and now that I enjoy doing it, for my health and mental fucking health. Like, it's huge. So all these things, I think one of the things that comes down to is this mindset shift. Accepting that you are a finite being, you're with infinite tasks, you're not going to get everything done, and really loving that, like gratitude for all the things that you have to do that aren't fun. Be grateful that that's a problem that you have, you know, like that we could have so many other problems, and you know, we also are just lucky to fucking be here. So this like deep gratitude, really getting into an abundance mindset. Dude, the perfectionism and the fear and the scarcity, it not only just runs deep, but I think it's societal right now. Who isn't afraid of US economic collapse or war, you know, with everything going on with Russia? And we have this fucking toddler and a billionaire teenager who's he's not actually a teenager, but like mentally he's a fucking teenager. And they're both very similar, like fucking narcissists, and it's fucking terrifying to think that those are the people we have in the positions that they're in. Not to mention RFK, and like, we don't need to get too political here. That's not what I'm trying to do. But everyone has good reason to feel afraid right now. But that doesn't mean we need to succumb to a fear mindset. I think a lot of the point of their strategy is to have us all fucking overwhelmed. And we all, I think this is a known thing at this point. So I'm just really trying to take my time and do every day. I'm trying to change this mindset to be choosing what I do, be grateful and present for every part of it, and to take, to do good with those things that I'm doing, spend time with people that I care about, build community. And I'm so lucky to be in the situation that I'm not in survival mode right now. And I really empathize with all of you that are. I'm not going to try to tell you how to fix your fucking problems because I don't have them. But if there's one thing that I hope I can share, is that at least one time a day, give yourself more than enough time to do something that you want to do that day. Everything else fucking waits, And it can be, my buddy just said, like, when he takes 20 minutes and works on a crossword puzzle. Okay. If you're looking for that sense of I am experiencing a life that I love, or I'm present for a thing that I think is important, and to let go of this endless list that's just eating away and at your consciousness and its consciousness and your experience of life, and that it's just like this like fire burning, pushing this like neurotic busyness, trying to like break that, get out of that survival mindset. Even if you are literally fucking struggling right now, you're not alone. I'm not downplaying the reality of that. That is where you are. I hope and I encourage you, reach out for help for sure, and reach into yourself to give yourself once a day, give yourself 20 minutes, an hour, whatever, more time than it takes to do something that you think is valuable, that you want to do, and be really present for that, and to slow the fuck down. If you can't, even in survival mode, start the process of learning how to down regulate and get your body into a more relaxed state, the problem is you can't move forward. This is something I'm now steering into advice land, and I'm sorry, I'm sure there's a lot of people that could fucking completely tear apart my point, so take it or leave it, but this concept of moving forward in your life, if you're going so fast and you're stressed and you're rushed and you're doing it out of that impulse, and you can't even comprehend or take any time to slow down and evaluate, then you don't even know the fucking direction you're going in. You might be going quickly in the wrong fucking way. So I think every day, some kind of check where you can down-regulate your autonomic nervous system, get yourself into a state of calm and say, okay, what is the thing that I am choosing is important to me today? And I'm not going to tell you, it can be working on a really big task, or it can be something very small and playful and silly. I don't fucking care. I'm not going to pretend to tell you what lifestyle we want to live. But I do think if you can't hit the brakes, you shouldn't be hitting the fucking gas. You need both to drive a fucking car. Steering wheel, brakes, and gas. And I think our society and the way I've been trained and the things that I'm changing is to just fucking put it right on the fucking gas pedal, And when we get this idea that, if I am so skillful, I'll be able to fucking steer through everything. No, that's how you fucking crash. That's what I did. That's what happened to me. I got so fucking lucky in the way that I crashed, and that I did end up somewhere that gave me some options and some flexibility. But you got brakes too. Even if you're in survival mode, especially if you're in survival mode, I think you need to make sure your fucking brakes work. Even if it's for 20 minutes, which buys you 5 minutes just so you can check and say, oh, is this the right next turn that I want to make? Am I going in the right direction today? And I would highly recommend doing it more than once a day, but at a minimum. Because if you're going day by day and you're in that fucking mentality, you're gonna get lost. And that's okay too. I'm not saying this from a critical sense. I'm saying it as from someone who's been there and is trying to not do it again. And sometimes we have to get lost. I think that was my experience. That was the journey that I needed to take. So, I also give yourself permission to do that. But, like I said, I think you are accountable to it, and there are consequences, and there's a cost. There's a sacrifice that is made when you do that. And I just encourage everybody to slow down. That's my point. I need to stop. I've beaten that horse pretty dead. I think the last part of this, I don't know why the fuck anybody would ever listen to this, but is just a quick update. So let's see. I think the last time I updated was in January. January was kind of a month of rest. I think that was the month I had this big major decision around becoming a firefighter, and I chose not to begin that process yet. I was doing less, it was really pattern breaking for me to not just throw myself down the thing that made sense to me, and to go with what I felt. And what I felt was that I wasn't ready, and I wanted to focus on these other things. February turned into a month of family stuff. I'm still learning how to rest, but I've made progress in that. A lot of it, literally, this sounds so fucking stupid, but it just comes to once a week or even a little bit each day, having some time that your body is relaxed, and giving yourself permission for that. It's that simple, because I'm sure your body is doing it whether you want it or not, right? We all get fucking hooked on our phone. We crash at the end of the day. We go eat junk food, whatever. Your body will find a way to do that regulation, but doing it intentionally, because I find that if I do that, I'll play games for 3-4 hours, right? And then I feel like shit about it, because in the back of my head, I never gave myself permission. And that's why it takes 3-4 hours where you can actually accomplish a lot of rest in a very short amount of time. But you have to give yourself permission and learn how to actually be relaxed, and to allow that to happen, and let those processes of recovery begin. Anyways, so I'm learning a lot more about rest and recovery, but that's part of it, for sure. February was a month of family. My older sister moved to Maine. We were separated when I was 5. I had a very traumatic childhood. Hers was traumatic as well, by auxiliary of that. And we've been separated for 30 years, and we just live in the same state now. And now I've got 3 nephews and nieces that I get to be an uncle to, and my family just got a lot bigger. So it was crazy. It was a lot, because I'm so excited, and they're wonderful people, and I'm so happy they're in my life. But there was also a part of me that was I shouldn't say but. There was a part of me that's also I put a lot of pressure on myself. This is the perfectionism, to show up a certain way. I'm I need to be the perfect little brother. I've had a lot of pressure on myself to be a good big brother to my little sister, who was also in town this month. I get to see her once or twice a year, and that's amazing. It feels really good, and we have a really good relationship. Same thing now with my older sister in the picture. I'm I don't know how to be the little brother in a lived way, because we've been so distant for so long. We love each other very much, but it's just 30 years is a long time to be apart. And then I also want to be the best uncle. I want to be the perfect uncle, to these 3 kids. So I instantly found myself oh my God, this is a lot of cognitive load that's kicking on. And I realized it was that pressure that I'm putting on myself. And ultimately what I realized was that it took me time to build the relationship that I have with my little sister. I didn't know how to do it at first. It's going to take me time to build the relationship with my older sister. I don't know how to do it, and I'll figure it out. Same thing with those kids. It'll take time to figure out the right way for me to show up as an uncle to them. And we're starting with D&D, and they love it. It's great. It's really cute. Also, a big thing is with my dad. God damn, this is ridiculous to put on YouTube, but I don't know, whatever. Who fucking cares? I won't go into too much detail, but my dad and I have had a roller coaster relationship. Like I said, traumatic childhood, not because of him. But then when bad things happen, he kind of swooped in. I say swooped in. He came in and got full custody of me, which is a thing in the 90s to get, for the father to get full custody of the kid. And again, just to be clear, like my mom wasn't the culprit, but just was negligent. And, that happened. But then that just was a very tumultuous time for me as a kid, obviously. And then I came to Maine with my dad, and I was really upset. I had a really hard time. Eventually, around 18, I came to terms with something. I changed my perspective, and I started to really develop a very good relationship with my father. Particularly, like I joined the military, and I felt like he started to treat me with a lot more respect. And I also just had a lot of gratitude for him providing for me in the ways that he did, in the ways that he could. Then you fast forward to my 30s, and him and I get into this nasty fight. My grandfather, his father, passed, and it just got really fucking weird. Also, he's a Trumper, and when Trump got elected, our relationship started to really suffer. We fought a lot. We had some nasty fights. Then lastly, I started, after this last huge blowout, I started just realizing that, like, hey, he was super critical, too critical of me, and it fucked me up. And perfectionism, right? And that, yeah, it was hard. It was hard to come to terms with him again. But I did, in February, I kind of just had this moment of like, this is as good as it's gonna get. And even differently than that, you have to fully accept people. I remember when I was a teenager, I learned this concept that I came to believe in this concept that for every person in your life, friend, family, lover, everything, there is a distance that you guys will have the best relationship possible, and that can change over time. But if you try to hold someone closer than that or differently than that, you will suffer for it. And if you hold them too far away, then you're just missing out on what that relationship can offer. Those are the two forms of suffering. And acceptance is just finding and accepting the actual distance and dynamic that your relationship can be the best it can. And it was hard to do that with my mom, but it was easier because she was so far away. It really has been hard to do that with my dad. I had to grieve and let go of this idea of the kind of father-son relationship that I thought we had in the past, could have in the future, and ultimately just accept that, like, he's limited in certain ways, particularly like emotional empathy and being able to like understand or care about other people's point of views. Oh my God. My cat just put his foot fully in my coffee. That is upsetting. Lucifer, that's so gross. I was gonna drink that coffee. You fucker. Oh, you're such a little guy, such a little demon. Now I gotta go clean his foot off. So get to the point, Adam. I love him. He is who he is, and I have to accept that. And that's the only way that we're gonna have a remotely decent relationship. So I'm gonna have to meet him in his world, and now that I've finally accepted that, like, it was very difficult to let that pass, but now that I have, I do feel a huge weight off my shoulders, and I believe him, and I now have a path to have a good relationship, a relationship possible, a relationship that is based on what we actually is possible between us. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up because I gotta take care of my cat who's being a fucking weirdo. Slow the fuck down. Slow the fuck down. Enjoy this process. It's cliche to say, but it's true. Be grateful you're alive. And, oh, buddy, you shouldn't be licking that coffee because you're going to get wired. You shouldn't have caffeine.